Good evening and welcome to Upon Further Review, your weekly podcast on all things Northeast Indiana high school football as we wrap up week 7 and head to week 8 as we are drawing to the season's end as the section 9. Is it 9 already?
Yeah, we're at regular season finale.
Finale, gosh darn it. I don't
We're
want it to
throw
end.
A flag on that. We'll throw a flag
well,
on
I know that the sectional pairings were announced this Sunday. And we'll have some of that as well. But alongside Eric Dukevich, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. And Eric, we were at my alma mater this past Friday night between the mighty Bruins taking on the Carroll Chargers, who are probably playing the best football of any team in the Summit Athletic Conference right now. Gabe Freisinger, man, oh man, he had a hot hand on Friday night, as did at times David Callison when he made some plays. It was a back and forth game marred by penalties, some warranted, some probably not. It kind of got in the way of that game because of how good the game actually was.
Yeah.
And it kind of zapped some of the energy away. You may have a better insight because you were there filming some video for that. But, that was a good game that we were able to take in on Friday night. And you can't be disappointed in the games that we've had this year because we've had high scorers, we've had low scores, we've had some upsets, we've had some surprises along the way.
Yeah. Well, it was a big night out at Friday night. And it was, first of all, it was great to be out at Spooler for Northrop. First time we'd been out there with the 1380 Midwest Box Breaks Game of the Week and the PSM High School Football Tailgate pregame show. And, it was a great crowd on both sides and a lot of good times out there. The game itself, yes, I think it wound up being a really exciting game the whole thing was just too long. And I think a lot of it was the officiating just by virtue of there were a lot of flags, 31 total penalties, 281 yards, 17 penalties for Northrop, 14 for Carroll. It was pretty even, Steven, in that regard. But ultimately, I felt like from the jump, from the kickoff almost, from the coin flip almost, it was kind of over officiated might be the best way to look at it. And I'm not
that's
here
probably
to
fair.
all night. We don't do it. We're not here to do that. We like to break down the games because at the end of the day, I ultimately say Carroll won that game. Gabe Freisinger and Jaden Van Pelt with their 4 touchdowns for Freisinger, 3 I think for Van Pelt of those 4. And Bauman got 1, and the defense for Carroll, and ultimately Northrop, the ability to come back. I mean, they had that game within 2 points in the third quarter, storing back from a halftime deficit. So yes, be it as it may, what the officiating was, at the end of the day, both of those teams showed up in the second half. Yes, we had a 3-hour and 32-minute game, not very much post game, but ultimately it was one of those things where, from the Northrop vantage point, a lot of things have happened this year that we've never seen in 40 years. But on the flip side, Carroll was that stronger team that ultimately came out on top. And I think they won that game. Northrop made it close. But as bad as the officiating was, or over officiated, I guess you could say, bad and maybe wrong. And
over officiating is a good term.
Over officiated is probably the best word to look at it, or maybe over officiated for our liking here. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And I'll say this, when you're going to make calls, you don't need to confer after every call, especially on unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. At the end of the day, if you're going to call an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, 15 yards for things, make the call, march off the yardage, and let's play ball. And if you have to confer over that, maybe you shouldn't call it in the first place. But that's me. And
that's good call
with the officiating.
No, that was a fair assessment there. I mean, you look at the 2 quarterbacks who are the 2 best quarterbacks in the SAC, along with some others in and around the area. So I don't want to say that these are the top 2, but Freisinger, 20 of 28, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns. Callison, 22 of 38, 362 yards, as well as 2 touchdowns. He had one. Callison only had 1 interception on the night. Freisinger had none. And quite honestly, Both defenses, both offenses. I think it was a pretty even, talented two teams across the board, because what one took away, the other adapted and adjusted to it, and vice versa. And like you said, Northrop never quit in the game. We saw why Quay Guilford is going to Ohio State. He's got oodles and oodles of speed. And quite honestly, you think they should probably get him in a position to have more impact on a game. Maddox Whale was another phenomenal night. Sheely had we could go on and on about who had a phenomenal night. The fact is that they showed why they are probably one of the two best teams in the Summit Athletic Conference this year, although Bishop Dwenger now holds all the cards as it pertains for the Summit Athletic Conference championship, having the tiebreaker against Carroll.
Yeah, basically it comes down to this game on Friday night. And I think it's Dwenger hosting Southside, which is beneficial for sure to Dwenger. Carroll hosts Lures, Northrop hosts Wayne. With the way the tiebreakers fall, Dwenger is in the driver's seat with one game to play. So basically, Dwenger, we're looking at likely Dwenger being the SAC champion come Friday night. Still got to play the game, but ultimately that's the way it shaked out, and that was part of it with the game last Friday.
And doing it with defense.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, that team did it with defense the entire year. I mean, that's the bottom line, is they did it with defense, because offensively they've struggled in quite a few of their games this year to get points on the board. But when you have a defense that's like that, man, oh man, it's not. They're hard to beat.
Yep. So big wins for Carroll over Northrop. Dwenger holds now their destiny in their hands. We'll talk more about the SAC this Friday night coming up later on in the show. Another big win, another champion crown in the ACAC, coach. Adams Central continues to do what they have done for season upon season. This is 5 straight ACAC titles now for the Flying Jets. 3rd straight ACAC championship or ACAC victories games, and a strong showing against Bluffton last Friday night in Bluffton to maintain in that ACAC championship for another year.
Yeah, quite honestly, surprised of how much they were able to win the differential, 47-17, the final score, because I figured Bluffton would put up a better showing than what they did offensively, especially. But again, Adams Central has done it year in, year out. They just reload. They've never rebuilt. It's just been a reload every year, and they proved again why they're the best team within the ACAC and within the Northeast Indiana area when it comes to high school football at that lower level, and they've played lights out all year.
Yeah. And we talk about 2 great quarterbacks in the ACAC or SAC. We got 2 great quarterbacks in the ACAC in this game too. Jamison Roach, 14 carries for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. He goes 5 for 9 from passing for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Joey Everett, a big night, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Axton Best, the Bluffton quarterback, 19 for 30, 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he was able to do good. And, that was a Bluffton team that came in averaging 40 points a game to keep it at 23 or there. It was quite a showing, 26-3 at halftime. So that was a big performance from Adams Central, and they keep things rolling. And it's kind of that rinse and repeat feeling yet again for the Flying Jets.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they've found ways with what they do. They believe in a system that they're very good at, and their kids rep it since the time they're in, the Pee Wee's leagues there. They're in that district, and so when they get to that high school level of play, they know the system inside and out, and it's just a matter of honing in and revamping some things, because once that group graduates, a new group comes in or rises to the next level of being seniors from juniors, and they just take on that responsibility and power forward. And all
Absolutely.
you can say right now is they are probably one of the hottest teams in Northeast Indiana for the better part of the last 3 or 4 years when you think of it.
Yep. And that leads us to our first interview tonight. We're thrilled to be joined now by a Adams Central player who's been a big part of the success the last couple of years down there in Monroe. We're going to bring him in now. Cameron Fravel joining us here on Upon Further Review. Cam, can you hear us tonight?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us here on Upon Further Review. First of all, congratulations to you and the Flying Jets on your 5th straight ACAC title. Big win over Bluffton on Friday night. Just talk about that win, what you guys were able to do, and still maintain that ACAC is still kind of the Adams Central Athletic Conference for another year.
Yeah, I was excited for our defense. They really stepped up against a 40-point average team. Part of our whole practice week, we were focused on defense, stopping their pass, focusing, get them to start running the ball a lot, and limiting their options.
Sure. We talk a lot about the offense, rightfully so, for Adams Central, what they're able to do. I mean, another team that, gets up in that 35, 40, 41, 42 points per game. The defensive side, and you kind of alluded to it as far as focusing in on that on practice. You're a defensive end. I mean, you play both ways, but defensive end, all conference, all state, Indiana Gridiron Digest, Football Digest, Primetime 25, get the wording out there correctly. So, you've gotten a lot of recognition for your play. Talk about this Adams Central defense and really how important it has been for what you guys have been able to do for a long time down there.
Well, it's big parts our linebackers. We lost Max Carl from last year. We have 3 juniors at linebacker right now, and they all had to step up and prove themselves this year and be able to stop the run and pass on any play any team runs or whatever.
Sure. How much is it? I mentioned rinse and repeat. I mean, how much is that the case in Adams Central and what you guys have been able to do? I know, football has become very big. I think Coach Moser's been there like 25 years now, through the youth program, through junior high and middle school, all the way up through now you're a senior for Adams Central coming off that state championship a year ago, trying to go back there, go back to back in that regard as well. Talk about that. I mean, just what football, that program, and how it really has taken off and continues to grow, and really how far back it goes for a place like Adams Central.
Yeah, it's really a community thing. Parents getting their kids to play football from day one, like 5th grade, going into 6th, and then going into middle school. We're all running the same plays that you run in high school. The coaches, just the big part is doing disciplining the players and making them ready to play any team that they come across.
Go ahead, Coach.
Cameron, Coach Griffith here. And I don't, excuse me if you've already kind of answered this question, but is it a fair assessment to say that you guys are very well entrenched with what you are going to run at Adams Central at the high school level by basically growing up with it throughout the time that you're playing tackle football there in the little, the Pee Wee leagues or whatever they call it there? Is that kind of what you guys do?
Yeah, for the main part. Middle school, some of the coaches from middle school after middle school season, they'll come up to the high school practices. They coach everything the same, all the same plays for the most part. High school, you get some more because they take more plays and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, this year, again, you guys have, are not really reinventing the wheel with what you guys do. It's just that you're really good doing what Coach Mosier and his coaches have put together there throughout their tenure, offensively and defensively. But now, as we draw to the end of the year coming up here, and Sunday being the actual sectional draw and such, what is it that do you think that you guys are going to have to do this year to get yourself back down to Indianapolis to go back and try for another state championship?
Well, for the most part, we're taking steps forward. We can't take a step back or stay on a go play at a different team's level because that's taking a step back as well. We focus on the team we play every week. We can't skip a team because playoffs start once you have one. If you lose, you're out. So
Right.
you have to focus on that team. Make sure your whole team's ready to win.
Yeah, you get to the aspect of the tournament, and it's a winner stay up, as we kind of see some highlights here. Your quarterback's had another phenomenal year, and he's gotten better year after year. Speak to his play of late and what he does for you guys as the quarterback or the leader of your ball club.
Yeah, he's great. He really plays a part in our offense, giving defenses another person to look at the shutdown. Jamie gives looks for other players to have open runs because they're focused on Jamie. It just opens up our offense so much more.
Yeah, and he does, like you said, he's kind of a dual threat because people may not realize this, but he can throw the football quite well. He's got pretty good mechanics of it, and you guys don't throw it a lot, but when he's called to do it, he does it well.
Yeah.
You're mute there, dude. Let me get you unmuted.
Sorry about that. The wishbone style of offense, from a learning standpoint, the complexities from learning it every day, how long, what's that process like in breaking down for you guys that do it every day as far as learning that? What is that like, getting into that system and the complexities of all of that as an offensive lineman, but also somebody who in practice probably goes up a lot against it as somebody who plays on the defensive side of the ball too?
Well, for the first part, like middle school, you're really just learning the play. Then once you get to high school, you're learning the play, but the blocking scheme on different defensive fronts with different linebacker formations, and how if the team flows to the ball or stays home more often. Like, it's more of just a railroad track blocking scheme where you have this route on your block. If they don't if they like back away from you or not on that track, you leave them for the next person because somebody else has got them.
Absolutely. The state run, what was that like? I mean, you finally got over the hump a year ago, getting down there and winning. What did that mean to the community, to the players, to Adams Central as a whole, what you guys were able to accomplish last year?
It meant so much to us. We finally got to bring it home. The bus ride through the town at the end of the night was so much fun. Seeing everybody with fireworks and stuff, it was awesome.
Sure. And then what's next for you? You're a senior. I've seen on social media. Looks like you guys you're making some visits to some colleges on Saturdays this fall. What your outlook after high school? What does that look like for you as far as what you're looking to do at the next level?
Yeah, I want to play some college ball. Last weekend, yesterday, I just went to Indiana State and watched them play. I wanted to study engineering, mechanical engineering, and I've been scooting around colleges. Went to IWU a couple weeks ago and watching some teams and getting a feel for their coaches and their environment.
Absolutely. And pretty good student as well. I think up over a 3.7 GPA, and it is a big part of that as too. So, well, Cameron, we're grateful for you coming on tonight here on Upon Further Review to talk about the Adams Central Flying Jets. Another great season, another ACAC title, 5 straight now for Adams Central, 30 straight ACAC wins, and now you guys close up the regular season this weekend and then head into a very loaded sectional in Class 2A, and looking for an opportunity to win another state championship and it will be interesting to see how that plays out in the coming weeks. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck to you and Adam Central the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. That was Cameron Fravel, a two-way lineman for Adam Central, joining us tonight. And a big part of that success down there, and a lot of success they've had, Coach.
Yeah, again, what Coach Mosier and his staff have done in some respects is really remarkable. It's hard to win no matter what level you're at, but the consistency that they do it at, they truly make it look simple. And I don't doubt for a second that they will find a way to find themselves potentially back in Indianapolis come this November, fighting for another opportunity at a state championship.
Absolutely. So good luck to the rest of them. We're up against the break right here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. When we come back, we'll be talking more high school football, another big team in our area that has had a really successful season, the Churubusco Eagles. On the other side of the break, we'll be joined by Grant Sievers, another big game for him and their big win over West Noble last Friday. We'll talk to him and see their outlook as they continue their great season. You're listening to Upon Further Review right here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Welcome back to Upon Further Review right here Wednesday night on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Pleased to be joined with you each and every week, not only here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM, but also on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, X page. We throw clips on our Instagram. Just find us on Upon Further Review SAC. That's where you can find us if you search in your social media and find that there. And all our clips are on our YouTube page as well. Well, another team, Coach. We talked about the SAC with everything that happened on Friday. Adam Central, big win, wrapping up the ACAC. How about in the NECC, the Churubusco Eagles this year? They'd already clinched their NECC Small Division Championship and played West Noble, who was the big division champion. And how those Busco Eagles, they get a squeaker 24-23 over West Noble in Turtletown on Friday night. And things riding high for those Busco Eagles.
Well, that's another program that, maybe not had the consistency like an Adam Central has had over the years, but the Eagles always seem to rebound quite efficiently. And while there may be a year or two in between their really good seasons, they've had consistent, winning teams over the years. And that was a huge win against West Noble, who's been prominently at the top of that division there for the better part of the last couple of years, as they've had some really good teams. So big win over a talented West Noble team, and one of those type of wins that can help propel you into the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Churubusco goes for 186 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. 2 of those go for Grant Sievers with 71 yards. And, Coach, we're thrilled to be joined by Grant tonight. He's our next guest that we're going to bring here on Upon Further Review. Running back for the Churubusco Eagles, Grant Sievers. Grant, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Upon Further Review.
Thank you guys for having me.
Well, you heard it. You were in the green room ready to come on, and you were there. I mean, you were a shining star on Friday night. The big win over West Noble. Obviously, you've already wrapped up the small division, but to in the Clash of the Champions, you get that victory up on home field on Friday. Just talk about what this team has been able to do this year, and just another fun season for this Churubusco team.
Yeah, so our defense, it's been outstanding this year. The goal line stands. The offense starts slow the last few weeks, and then coming into this week, we all knew that we had to start off and play throughout the game.
Sure. 2 small division championships now, back to back. Now, the way the NECC does it, they kind of count just the in-division games, but you guys go 4-0 for a second straight year in your small division games and are able to call yourselves conference champions. What has been kind of the success? You mentioned the defense aspect, but what's been the recipe for success, if you will, for Busco these last couple years and what you guys have been able to do and kind of restoring some of that championship mentality there.
Yeah, keep working together. I mean, that's the main part. I mean, the young guys, I mean, they get in on Friday and they're working really hard. And I mean, all day through the weight room, everyone's working hard, working together, and that's the main, staying together.
Sure. 71 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversions on Friday against West Noble, not Homestead. I still have that on there, but and the 2-point conversions, I've noticed that aspect of it too. 2 on Friday, 6 on the season, if I'm reading the stat sheets correctly. That aspect of it, I mean, that's a wrinkle that you guys have done, and it's found success. That's got to be fun for a running back where coach is going to go for it a little bit here.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And you play a little bit of defense too.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys, two-way players. That aspect. I mean, playing a lot of reps on Friday night for you to be able to do that. How do you prepare, particularly as the week goes on, to get ready for a Friday night game where you're going to be out there most of the game?
Yeah, so lots of hydration. And yeah, practice. I mean, you got to put a lot of effort in to be ready on Friday to have that many snaps on Friday night. And I mean, that's about it.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Coach.
Grant, Coach Griffith here, and this year for you guys, another really good season that you've put together. But talk about this West Noble game last Friday night and coming into that game, but also coming away with a 1-point victory. Kind of speak to that game as a team, and what was the key for you getting that huge win over West Noble?
Yeah, so the last 2 years they outscored us 106-0. And we knew coming into this game that this was a game we wanted to win. We wanted to get back and get on top. And all week we're working hard and all that. And yeah, we knew they were going to come out physical, and I think we came out super physical.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you headed in, with that big victory, now heading into this final week, what are some of the key things that you guys are going to need to do this week and not get too far ahead of yourself, peeking ahead to that first round of sectionals, which is an easy thing to get caught up in. But, what are some things that this week is going to be kind of important for you, for the seniors, to really keep everybody on the point and task at hand is the game Friday?
We gotta play it game by game. We gotta have good leadership all week. I mean, it's gotta keep the young guys in check so that they give us good looks during practice. And yeah.
Sure. What's it like on Friday night up in Turtletown? Busco, that game, playing in front of that crowd, especially with the success that you've had. I'm sure it's quite the crowd out there, but they love their football up there. It's a good town. What's it like to run out there in the black and gold of Busco?
Well, great pork burgers. Don't forget that.
And great pork burgers.
Yeah. It's awesome. I wouldn't want to play anywhere else. I mean, I've been here since kindergarten, but I've been playing since second grade, and we've all stuck together, and we're just all a big family, and it's awesome.
Sure. That element too, this, I always ask this a lot of the smaller schools in a lot of different sports. You guys are like 2A school, a smaller school. You guys have been together throughout. To come all the way through, is this something like back then when you were kids, you thought, we're going to have a pretty good group? That Weston Ott over there, he might be committing to Notre Dame in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that like? Is it one of those things where it just kind of, you start to see it in middle school, or is it one of those things where everybody kind of sees it for a while and then now that time is finally here?
Yeah, so when we were younger, a lot of our parents were like, if you guys stick together, you guys are going to be a really good group, big group. I mean, we have 16, 17 seniors this year, and
Wow.
we've only lost probably 3 people since our 3rd grade team.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, it's been a fun to watch you guys, and I know I've been up there a couple of times in the last year and met some of you guys, and you guys work hard. I know the tougher together mentality is a big part of that as well. And, it's just old-fashioned football, ground and pound. You guys don't have a huge team, so a lot of guys playing both ways, but you guys do it so well and do it together, and it's fun to watch and fun to see Busco find success again. 2-time now NECC Small Division champions. Grant Sievers, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Pawn for the Review. Best of luck to you and those Busco Eagles the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We
Go ahead,
appreciate
Grant.
it so much. That was Grant Sievers, the running back for Busco. And, he gets on the defensive side of the things too, and 38 tackles on the year. But Coach, that's another thing, the small town. We see so much of the big city schools and guys coming and going. 3 people in their class of football have left since 3rd grade. And, when it's pretty amazing to see, because I have a feeling that the parents were right when they saw this probably a while ago with the youth football. But that's important. That's so important why youth football and doing it at such a young age, or any sport at a young age, is so important, because you learn and you get in the system. And look at the Adams Centrals of the world, the Buscos of the world. We're seeing that at Bluffton now. And heck, Snyder and Carroll could throw themselves in there as well over the years. That's cool to see what Busco's able to do with a 2A small school having the success that they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a credit to the community that they're in, and the value of a small one-town high school that brings to the equation that they share with an Adams Central and some others within the outskirts of Fort Wayne. That's the uniqueness of high school athletics when you talk about a one-town high school, because everything is centered around still there on Friday nights or Saturday nights during basketball season. It's something the town talks about Monday through Thursday, gets behind the kids on Friday. We talked and joked about the pork burgers, but again, that's a very prominent thing that those kids will remember for the rest of their lives, because they went to Cherubusco High School. So that's the unique setting that a one-town high school gives, those kids and parents, especially because they're as much a part of that history, tradition, as the kids are. So it's a uniqueness that some kids won't be able to experience because they're in the Fort Wayne Community Schools or East Allen County Schools or, Southwest Allen County Schools, that, one town, one high school feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing. I mean, Cherubusco, a long time. I mean, they've been around for a long time. I mean, around the start of I think one of the original, maybe not original, but 19 when the IHSA formed. I mean, they've withstood consolidations across. You see that a lot, and particularly in the 60s and 70s. But great to see that they're still going things up there in the Smith Green Community School Corporation, Cherubusco High School, and we're grateful to have Grant Sievers on tonight. Well, we're up against Go ahead.
One thing I was going to say too, here's a team that had 2 losses early in the year, one to Lakeland and I think Garrett, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But I know Lakeland for sure, that was a 2-point loss, 14-12, but found a way to rebound after those 2 games and got on a run. And the next thing you know, they're leading the way. And, with 1 week to go, it should be an interesting feel for them coming into this next week as they wrap up the season.
Yeah, Busco starts 1-2. They lost to Lakeland and Garrett on the road. Then they come home and that big win over East Side, 19.
That's what it was. Right.
Week 4.
That was a big
That
win.
opened some eyes yet again, what they were able to do. Of course, East Side in that small division, they've beat them 2 years in a row now. So, and that had been East Side's division for a couple years. So big win Friday night against, not really much at stake, just kind of that mythical overall Northeast Corner Conference Championship, and the Busco Eagles were able to do that. Well, when we come back, we're up against another break. We'll come back with more here on Upon Further Review. You're watching us and listening to us here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Welcome back here to Upon Further Review. Had two great kids on there tonight again, Duke, and fine representatives of the programs and what it is to be a part of a small school, one town high school, as we were talking there at the end of that with Grant, and just two good kids. I mean, you can understand why those coaches continue to want to coach when you got kids like that. But looking ahead from this past Friday night, of course, we were at the Carroll Northrop game, incredible ball game, Chargers getting a huge win. And then, of course, DeWanger's big win over Snyder, which gives them the upper hand with the Summit Athletic Conference title race. But the one game that really impressed me was the Homestead Northside game. Here's Homestead that gets thoroughly dominated by Carroll Chargers the last couple weeks ago now, and they come in and take on the Northside Legends and pitch a shutout against them. So 2 out of the last 3 weeks, Friday nights, Homestead has pitched shutouts outside of getting, taken to the woodshed by the Chargers.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a good bounce back it was for Homestead.
Yeah.
Considering what we saw, and really was more like what we saw 2 weeks ago with what they were to do with Snyder. But yeah, I mean, Homestead really got the ground game going against Northside. I think, two ways you look at it. First, keeping Jaden Rivers off the scoreboard. That's been something that nobody's been able to do this year.
No.
Jaden goes 19 for 33, 147 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, there was a guy that was throwing over 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and just the 4 picks on the year. He's already now up to 6 over the last couple of weeks. So the interceptions have come into play for Northside there, but running wise, they could only get 65 yards of offense. So Homestead defense really locked down, was able to get them stopped and hold 147 yards of passing offense and keep it on this off the scoreboard. Homestead, meanwhile, their rushing attack looked really strong. 238 yards on the ground. They had 3 total touchdowns. One from Shane Bardwell. Logan Frieden rushed one in, and Braylon Weems, a talented sophomore who I did hear quite a bit about in the offseason. So it'll be interesting to see what comes. Just one rush for 5 yards. So one of those goal line types of scenarios where he punched it in. But, Shane Bardwell, that's a name that we haven't talked a whole lot about this year for Homestead, because it's been the Logan Frieden to Carter Kennedy show. But ultimately, Shane Bardwell has been, the junior running back, has been a nice addition in the backfield for them, where they, he's come along as the season's progressed. And, that Homestead rushing tag, if it can really get things going and they balance out that offense a little bit, man, oh man, I mean, that Homestead team is pretty tough.
Yeah. And again, they faced some adversity this year. They've been able to bounce back from that early loss of White week 1, and then bouncing back again from the defeat at Carroll. They're just kind of bobbing and weaving with the punches that get thrown at them. And for the most part, they've answered the bell each and every week. So it's a good thing to have that, as they are going to need that come sectional time because they're in a tough sectional.
Yeah, they'll have Hamilton Southeastern
at home, I thought. Yeah.
Home game against sectional 6 or sectional 4 in class 6A. So and we'll talk about these a little bit breakdown, but basically Elkhart is in the sectional with Snyder, Homestead, and Carroll. And then Homestead is the odd man out, and they get sent to Hamilton County's sectional with Fishers, Noblesville, Hamilton Southeastern. The Spartans draw Hamilton Southeastern.
Makes no sense at
Fishers,
all.
well, it's 32 teams in Class 6A, and you've got to kind of jog it that way. But yes, Elkhart, because there's 32 teams across the state, and of course everybody in 5A and 6A has a bye, so to speak. They don't get started. Basically, everybody starts from the sectional semifinal round. But yeah, so Homestead's got their work cut out for them in sectional play. But they've found some success. I guess the question becomes, what Homestead team do we find? So I think another big game though, too, Coach, Southside's win over Concordia, another big output for the Archers, 42-7 over Concordia, and to pick up their second win of the year. Now 2-6 overall, 2-4 in the conference, and Javon Irvy with a big game. We've talked about Chris Moon Jr. earlier in the year. They've got some good players at Southside that when they can play a team that they can match up well against, look out, because this wasn't a 14-7 win. This was, 42 for Southside. I think this is like the second time this year we've seen a number like that. Yeah, they put up 42 in a loss to Marion, 46 in a win over Wayne, and now 42 over Concordia at Zollner last Friday.
And that Marion game was a tough loss.
And that was a 48-42 loss at Marion in week 1. There again, they have drawn, and we can start to break down these sectionals, but they've drawn Southside, has drawn Wayne again in the first round of the sectionals on the top half of that bracket. And so that's obviously a good draw for Southside as we look at 4A sectional 19, which is probably the big sectional that gets all the headlines, rightfully so. But if you look at this, as we start to look at some of these sectional pairings that came out last Sunday, Wayne and Southside up to top, it bodes well for East Noble in that top half of the bracket, really, Coach. East Noble versus New Haven. And then they play the winner, East Noble, presumably the winner there would play Wayne versus Southside. So they got the path. But that bottom half, Columbia City DeKalb, and oh boy, Bishop Dwenger at Leo in the sectional first round. A week from Friday in
Was
Leo,
that the championship last year? If I'm not mistaken. Wasn't Dwenger and Leo the sectional championship last year?
Boy, I know we were at a Leo Dwenger game 1 year. I'll have to double check for sure. But wow, Dwenger probably going to be your SAC champion on the road at Leo to start off. Boy, talk about that. That's probably the big sectional first round game in our area this year so far.
Yeah, and again, good game for Columbia City and DeKalb. And, Wayne showed promise against Lures as Lures held on to defeat Wayne this past Friday. So it's a pretty good bracket when you look at it. And there are some others that way too.
Yeah, last year, Dwenger lost to East Noble in the sectional championship. That was a 38-0 win for East Noble. And then the year before was the sectional championship that at Leo that Dwenger
Gotcha.
lost. So,
well, you got to figure right now it's probably looking potentially another Dwenger East Noble sectional championship rematch.
Yeah, and Leo's in there too.
And the winner of that game is probably going to be the home team.
Yeah, that part of it I always is hard to figure out because it's like, well, who doesn't play if both teams are not anyway. But yeah, and I think for Dwenger, and we'll break down in depth these sectionals, but obviously their defense has been really good. Stopping Nate Foster, that's the headline challenge right there. So that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, that'll be a fun sectional to look at as well. And pulling up the other one that I think is kind of big, that from our area with kind of a cross section of teams in Class 2A Sectional 35. I'll pull that up here in just a second. But in that one, you have Coach Cherubusco hosting Bluffton off the bat. And Adams Central is also in that second bat. They drew Central Noble and will host Central Noble. So basically, you got Adams Central, Bluffton, and Busco in the bottom half of that sectional bracket. And then East Side, for all intents and purposes, the team to come out of the north or the top half of that bracket.
Mhm.
That's another sectional that, man, it's just loaded with teams.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things that sometimes the balls get it right, so to speak. When they come
We still believe in that stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, spitting out the different games and such. But Bluffton Busco, that's going to be a heck of a game from that standpoint, and it's probably a game that may be the game that gets to go take on Adams Central. So Bluffton could get another shot potentially at Adams Central, but that's the crazy thing that we're at now, is that some crazy things always happen in sectionals. And just because you won your, conference doesn't mean really anything, because each and every week you're susceptible to not playing your best game.
Yeah. So, and then on that top half there, East Side, not a team that, we probably need to send more love to East Side, because what they've been able to do, they've really had a strong bounce back. Joe Richmond, their quarterback, and they're a fine team. And obviously probably the favorite in there. Though, don't sleep on that Manchester team. That's a team that would, under Eddie Fields, the former Southside. I know a player, somebody very well too, coaching out there now. So don't sleep on those Manchester Squires. They had a pretty decent year. They had a tough loss on Friday. I think they were up somewhere like 28-0 and lost 29-28 or something along those lines. So it was a tough loss for Manchester over the weekend. But with their draw with Prairie Heights, you got Whitco and East Side in the mix. Winnable games there. But that second half is kind of crazy as far as what that may pan out. And of course, we talked about it, Coach, in Class 6A. They get a week off, but ultimately, and I'll see if I can pull that one up, but ultimately, I don't have the graphic in front of me. Like I said, it's hard, but in Class 6A Sectional 3, which is our area, let me make sure I got it right here. It's going to be Snyder and Northrop, and at Spooler. So Northrop will be the host, Snyder at Northrop at Spooler in a sectional first round semifinal game. And then Carroll makes the trip to Elkhart. So, boy, we got a pretty, it's going to be an interesting rematch between the Panthers and the Bruins.
Yeah, and that's going to be a, highly contested game, because, Northrop beating Snyder a couple weeks ago means nothing. Again, when you get into the sectionals and add the fact that it's a rivalry team again, throw out whatever happened a couple weeks ago, and who knows what all could come of it, because, Snyder's had a chance to, get Burton rolling now, and we'll have to wait and see. I was impressed with Northrop's defense, though. I think they're very, very good.
Yeah, North Side, we talked about them earlier. They're the lone 5A team in our area, really, unless you count Warsaw. They happen to be in Sectional 11, and the other teams in that sectional, Warsaw, Concord, and Goshen. So they're kind of in that Elkhart, South Bend 5A sectional. North Side makes the trip to 2-6 Goshen. And then on the other side of that, on the top half, it'll be Warsaw at Concord, an NLC conference matchup in sectionals, where I think Concord beat Warsaw early in the year. Warsaw, your state runner-up from a year ago. So we'll have to see how all of that shakes out. Northside 5-3, Warsaw 5-3, Concord 7-1. If Warsaw gets past Concord, maybe that helps with with Northside getting on there as well. So
Yep.
yeah, a big one. And then I think just quickly in 3A, that cross section, Garrett, Woodland, Angola, Concordia, West Noble, Lakeland's in there. So that kind of is one of those odd sectionals where there's not really a favorite, I would almost have to say. Maybe West Noble, but for a lot of these teams, the ability to have kind of that second season when the postseason starts, I think a lot of those schools are probably looking at it that way.
Sure. And, it's also kind of a new season in some respects where you throw out maybe where you finished at the end of this, this coming week. And it's a new leaf, a new look, fresh look. And for some teams, that may be all they need to get themselves beyond what may have happened over the last couple of weeks. So that's the unique thing about the playoffs in Indiana is everyone gets that that game or 10th game, I should say, to get a chance in the tourney. And if you can win, you move forward. And we've seen it before where teams that haven't done well in the regular season, mostly because they've played in a tougher conference, all of a sudden drop into their natural positioning and do quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that should be a fun one to watch. And we'll, like I said, we will break down more of these games next Friday or next week upon further review once we kind of get past the regular season. Because, Coach, we still do have one last week in the regular season. It's the season finale and the regular season on that. And we'll go ahead and pull up the schedule of games and look at some of these games on Friday night here. There we go. This Friday, pulled up the John Harrell site. Thanks for everything that he does. It keeps us on track as well. Friday, we got Concordia at Homestead, Bishop Lures at Carroll, Snyder at Northside, Southside hosts Dwenger, Wayne at Northrop. I think the big, first of all, first things first, Dwenger, chance to win the SAC championship with a win over Southside. Obviously going to be heavy favorites in that. That's where that starts. But, looking through this list, I mean, Lures and Carroll, okay, but even a Snyder versus Northside. I mean, the opportunity, Northside probably going to go feel good about trying to knock off Snyder, another team that feels that they can do it, that doesn't do it a whole heck of a lot, and opportunity to do it Friday night at Chambers Field.
Yeah, that'd be a great ball game at Chambers Field between Snyder and Northside. You're kind of facing the exact opposite. Snyder rush, heavy team, riding on their backfield, and then of course Northside and what they've done and as an offense. That will be a unique matchup Friday night. Both teams trying to put themselves in the best position to get ready to walk into the first week of the playoffs, with the right mental approach per se. But I like that game as well. I think that's a game that perks the interest per se.
Yeah, and interesting to note about that with the new divisional format in the SAC. These two teams played 2 years ago in sectional, but haven't met in the regular season since 2022. They played twice that year. Northside hasn't beaten Snyder since week 1 of the 2020 season. So it's been a while. And it's not happened a lot in the last 15 years or so. So that'll be an interesting game. Definitely a winnable game for Northside. And it'll be interesting to see how Snyder responds too, as they get Braylon Burton in the mix. He's back on. They had a good rush attack, even in a loss a couple weeks ago to Northrop. And so if they can get some things going, it'll be interesting to see, particularly with that sectional matchup against Northrop, which is slated in the SAC as well. So we can see if I can find the NE8 schedule here. I think the big one we can talk about this one. The big one out of the NE8, Coach, Leo travels DeKalb. This is basically a second place game now. Boy, what DeKalb's been able to do. Now we're talking about, a DeKalb getting some momentum heading into the sectionals.
Yeah, and they've got a really good quarterback in Eli McCormick, and they've had some, they had a tough loss against Leo in the last seconds. I'm sorry, against East Noble in the last seconds, and so they're trying to put themselves in a position to get themselves ready to roll into the postseason, and they've got a tough Columbia City team in that first round, I believe, if I wasn't mistaken when you threw those up there. So, that will be a big ball game. They weren't barely tested this week against Belmont in that regard, and so it should be a good ball game.
Yeah, and looking at the NE8 standings, East Noble, they go this week to Belmont or host Belmont. Yes, they host Belmont this Friday, which should be easy win for them. I'll just put it that way, and that means they would go undefeated in conference and win the conference championship. Leo and DeKalb both 5-1, both second place. DeKalb's won 4 straight. Leo's won 3 straight. That should be a fun one. Of course, there again, DeKalb in that same sectional with Leo, East Noble, Columbia City, and Bishop Dwenger out of the SAC. Other games in the NE8, Huntington North at New Haven, Norwell at Columbia City. So, not the biggest slate of games, but I think that Leo DeKalb game is kind of top notch in that conference. Over at the ACAC, just running through those games real quick. Heritage at Jay County, Bluffton hosts or travels to Blackhawk Christian in non-conference action. South Adams hosts Southern Wells, Woodland at AC. I think Southern Wells at Adams probably is the one that jumps off the page there a little bit. That could be a good one. Maybe the best matchup this weekend in that conference as well.
Yeah, you got to give those kids a lot of credit. They found a way to win a couple games there at Southern Wells this year. And, they've, finally got over that, hump of winning a game, and they've got themselves 2 wins this year. So in a lot of respects, successful season in that regard for Southern Wells.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will be another one, and I'm going to try to pull up the NEC slate, but I think that's all said and done because we know our champions there too. But Coach, it was a fun Friday night, and we keep rolling right along. We're up at week 9. Is there anything that this season what's impressed you the most? I mean, I think it's probably got to be Northrop and what their turnaround has been. Still lots to play for these Bruins. I mean, they have a chance if they can beat Snyder again and match up maybe with Carroll again, and that would be at Carroll. They have a chance to rebound. They got it to 2 points last Friday. As much as made it about the officiating, Carroll won that game, but Northrop was in that game up until the very long end.
Yeah, I mean, they've got as good a chance as anyone in that bracket, based upon their defense and what the high-powered offense that they have. Guilford is a phenomenal athlete. Maybe they need to target him some more in some respects because of what he brings to the table. And, I think like I said, they've got as good a chance as anyone in that bracket to win a sectional championship potentially.
Absolutely. Well, we're up against week 9 to close out the regular season. Once again, we'll have our high school football game of the week presented by Midwest Box Breaks. Stay tuned to 1380 The Fan and 100.9 over the next couple of days. We'll have more details on where we'll be and what game we'll be doing. Of course, we'll have the PSM high school football tailgate pregame show at 6 live from our game of the week, and then the postgame show presented by Kester's and powered by Pizza Hut immediately following the game. Of course, you can reminder to stay tuned every Wednesday night for Upon Further Review, wherever you get your podcasts via audio or video. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X. We also have it on clips on our Instagram page and just different ways that you can follow us. Just search for Upon Further Review SAC. So, Coach, that's it for us. Another week down, another week to do it this coming, and then we move on to sectionals. It's been a fun season, and I think it's time to wrap it up.
All righty, we're going to take another breath we'll have another Friday night full of pregame shows and the game and postgame. But you can catch us back here next Wednesday, 7:30 on next Wednesday. 7 o'clock. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm tired. I'm worn out. These games going for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, for Eric Dukevich, I'm the coach Shannon Griffith. We'll see you next time right here on Upon Further Review.